What are we doing here? And where are we gonna go? It's like we just woke up one morning and then it's welcome to the show. Don't ask any questions, just go with the flow. Make as much money as you can and try your best not to get broke. Copy everything you see on the TV, from the hairstyles to the clothes, and don't think too often, just do exactly as you're told. And if you ever get confused, then just turn towards the alcohol. You'll still hear your thoughts, then just turn up the radio as you learn to live a lifestyle of drugs, sex, and rock and roll. But in all honesty, I just need to know, is there more to the cycle than growing and getting old? Living and dying just to leave behind a happy home and a whole lot of property that somebody else is going to own. I just really need to know before the casket's closed, 'cause I'm not willing to gamble with my soul, nor am I ready to take any chances. These are just simple life questions and I'm just searching for some answers. Like, what are we doing here? And what is our purpose? How did we get here, and who made us so perfect? And what happens once we go, or is this world all really worth it? Questions we don't answer because apparently we don't really have to. There's no purpose to this life and our existence is merely natural. Then in that case, please let me ask you, did you create yourself, or was it somebody else who had fashioned you? 'Cause you're a being that's impeccable, faultless and unparalleled. You're a product of supreme intelligence and I'm merely being rational. For there isn't a camera on this earth that can come close to the human eye, nor a computer that can compete alongside the human mind. And if the whole world was to come together, we wouldn't be able to create a single fly. So many signs, yet we still deny. As science tries to justify that all this could come from none, when it's a simple sum. 0 plus 0 plus 0 cannot possibly ever give you 1. So from where did all this order come? But everything has its origins, a maker, a creator of its own. I mean, the only reason you're watching this video is because somebody had to press upload. So we can believe in the Big Bang, but I'd rather believe in He who caused it to explode. Allah, the creator of everything along with every single soul. The ever-living, the master, the only one who is in control. Unlike his creation, beyond our imagination. And no, he's not a man, nor does he have any partners in association. He's on his own. And no, he did not ever leave us alone. Just like every manufacturer, he left us with an instruction manual. The Qur'an and Islam, and I'm sorry to jump to conclusions, but it's the only one possible. The only definition of God is the one and only supreme being. It's logical, a book with 0 contradictions, with miracles that are both scientific and historical, all revealed over 1400 years ago. Like the detailed description of the human embryo.
The descriptions of the human embryo in the Qur'an cannot be based on scientific knowledge in the 7th century.
To the mountains as pegs holding firm the earth below, and the 2 seas that don't mix in a complete separate flow. To the planets in orbit, alternating night and day as they stay in flow. The expansion of the universe and the creation of everything from H2O. To the stories of the past and the preservation of Pharaoh. To identifying the lowest point in the land where Persia defeated Rome. The gushing fluid that created man in the glands between the ribs and the backbone. And not a word has changed, it's still the same. So please explain how all this was known over 1400 years ago. To a man who couldn't read or write, as he would recite whatever the angels spoke. And if you still don't believe, please try to come up with something that's even close. But you can't, so we took God as a mockery and his messengers as a joke.
Muhammad could not read or write. How somebody who can't read or write gonna start a religion?
Dismiss the scriptures as legends and tales of the ancient folk, as we live life according to our whims, desires, and hopes. saying this life is the only home we will ever know. We will live then die, then simply turn to bones. YOLO! Correction, after the grass dies, the rain arrives and it regrows, and Allah promises to do the same thing to your very soul and bring you back from your very fingertips to your toes, as the all-seeing supreme being watches us so close, and we are surely being tested in our wealth, our health, and our self, and everything that we've been blessed with. So believe, for we will surely be resurrected and be brought back to our Lord and account for every single deed, as He hands us our books and orders us to read. From the bad to the good and everything in between. You yourself are sufficient for your own accountability, so don't be mad at me. You are the one who thought He wouldn't come back to me. I gave you a whole life long to search after me, but you were busy in all that which was temporary. So read, and glad tidings to all those who believed. And if you disbelieve, read. And don't let that day be the first day you find out what your life really means. Read.
How long do you think you're going to live? 60, 70, 80 years? Okay, we'll give you 100. But don't be fooled, because many people die way younger than that. But let's say your cutoff date or death date is 100 years. Then what? Have you prepared or thought about what's to come next? Now, what's my purpose or goal in telling you this? Well, it's to inspire you to think deeper into the reality of this short, fleeting, transitory life. How many of us have seen friends or family members that you loved, or some that you even hated, but now they're gone? You've lost them. Doesn't this rattle something inside of you to think deeper into where they go? We were just arguing, joking, laughing together, but now they're no more. We somehow think that we are going to live forever in this life, as if science is going to develop a pill that will extend our lives forever. For those of us who have been living for some time, if you just look at the process of age, something very obvious when you just look at some of the old pictures of when you were young, but now we're becoming older. We were once full of strength, but now we are going in reverse and becoming older and weak. You get into a routine. For many of us, it stays the same. Wake up, work, work out, hang out, sleep. Some eagerly await the weekends just to be able to make it to the bars or the nightclubs, where men lust over women like an animal on the hunt for his prey. And sadly, women go to these places putting themselves on display and becoming some horny dog's prey, waking up the next day with a nasty hangover, feeling guilty, and doing the walk of shame. And then just to do the same thing the next weekend, but this time you might have an STD. Is this what life is about? Fulfilling one's desires at the expense of losing one's soul? Now your intuition tells you this can't just be it. Baby mama drama, sports, party, play, entertainment, alcohol, drugs, chasing all the material things. There has to be more to this life than all of these superficial things. An ultimate goal, a true purpose to your existence, to why am I here on this earth and where am I going when I die? You see, my goal was to motivate you to reflect, ponder, and think to the reality of this life, the reality of death, and the common sense question that all of us should be asking. What is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? Now it's up to you to do something about it.
A small invisible virus brings us to our knees. We rely upon the learned to guide us. We know not what it is, but only that it is. The earth rests and the skies breathe. Necks bow and voices hush. We see every nation on their knees. We acted for gain towards lusts. Emperors and empresses with new clothes like shrouds and palaces like coffins. The great city of Pompeii, the marbled halls of Caesar, the palaces of the pharaohs. Their people, just like us today, thought that they were at the pinnacle of civilization. Yet, in a moment, they were turned to dust. Man's mischief has brought upon him his own humiliation. But the power that rains down trials and tribulations is capable of summoning relief. So now is not the time for pessimism and panic. Like plants, we can regrow. The deluge can strengthen us. Reflect. This life is but a test, and actions are judged upon their conclusions. Use this moment to change for the better. Now is the time to return to the one who created the earth and set it on its orbit with flawless precision. The most minute change would be catastrophic for all creation. Reflect. There is only one being capable of such perfection. The earth rests and the skies breathe. Yet, they never tire in their submission to the one that created them. There is always hope. The choice is ours. The honor is ours. Let us throw off the heavy shackles of arrogance and deceit, and find peace, hope, and humility by submitting to the one. As we regrow, let us regrow with purpose. Let us regrow with hope. And let us regrow with faith. Bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah, and that Prophet Muhammad is his final messenger.
ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه إن الله بالغ أمره قد جعل الله لكل شيء قدرا.
In recent times, this coronavirus outbreak has really affected people on a very deep level. It's turned things literally upside down for many people. And many people during this time have maybe called out to God, maybe considered God, thought about God, prayed to God. Something we hadn't done maybe for many, many years, maybe for most of our lives. But now during this outbreak, we find ourselves in this position, yet in many of our minds, that question may still arise, well, why? What reasons do I have to believe in God? Because that's the way we've been conditioned to think in the times that we live in. We look for proofs for almost everything. Now, what's very interesting is that if we think about this virus, the coronavirus, we all believe it exists. We all believe it's there. But if I was to ask the question, how many of us have actually seen the virus firsthand for ourselves? And I would argue most of the population, maybe 99.9% of the people in this world have not seen it for themselves. Now that's something very interesting we have in front of us right now. We have a thing that we believe exists, this virus that we believe exists, with full conviction, but we haven't seen it. Well, the next question is, well, why do we believe it exists? And the answer to that is because we see its effects. We see its signs. And that's something profound for us to think about for a moment. We don't see the virus, but we believe it exists because of its effects and its signs. A cough, a high fever. In many countries, there's no more testing that's going on right now. We're going by the signs, the symptoms of this virus. Now, what's very interesting is in the very same way, and we should think of it in the same way, that we don't see God because we can't see God in this world. God is not a part of this material, physical existence. Yet, in the Qur'an, God makes mention of His signs that surround us. For example, in the 3rd chapter of the Qur'an, verse 190, God says, without a shadow of a doubt, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, meaning everything that exists around us, and in the alternation of the night and day. Now God gives a very specific example of something that exists around us, something that we see functioning. We see the function of the night and day take place every single day, literally. We see the sunrise and the sunset, we see the moon at night, and that pattern repeats itself in that very same order every single day, without fail. God reminds us that in the creation of everything that exists and in the alternation of the night and day, in these things are clear signs for people of understanding. Let's apply the same criteria we're applying here when it comes to the virus to when it comes to God's existence. And then we will realize that the belief in God is self-evident. His proofs, His signs are all around us. Everything around us, ourselves, just look in the mirror. Think about your own existence. Look in the mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror. What do you see? You see a living, conscious human being that feels, that has emotions, that's moral, that's upright. How do you make sense of your own existence if there wasn't a creator?
This is a perfect planet. Life flourishes here thanks to
you are so beautiful.
They say perfection doesn't exist. But that's not quite true.
Can't you see?
There is one planet where every element has fallen into place perfectly. Planet Earth.
Can't you see?
From volcanoes to weather systems, ocean currents to the heat of the sun, life on Earth to flourish. From the sun reaches us in just 8 minutes. From mighty storms to freezing winds, weather is vital to life. Annual weather patterns have been stable for thousands of years.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون هو الذي خلقكم من طين ثم قضى أجلا وأجل مسمى عنده ثم أنتم تمترون وهو الله في السماوات وفي الأرض يعلم سركم وجهركم ويعلم ما تكسبون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين فقد كذبوا بالحق لما جاءهم فسوف يأتيهم أنباء ما كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا من قبلهم من قرن مكناهم في الأرض ما لم نمكن لكم وأرسلنا السماء عليهم مدرارا وجعلنا الأنهار تجري من تحتهم فأهلكناهم بذنوبهم وأنشأنا من بعدهم قرنا آخرين ولو نزلنا عليك كتابا في قرطاس فلمسوه بأيديهم لقال الذين كفروا إن هذا إلا سحر مبين فمن اهتدى فإنما يهتدي لنفسه ومن ضل فقل إنما أنا من المنذرين وقل الحمد لله سيريكم آياته فتعرفونها وما ربك بغافل عما تعملون فلله الحمد رب السماوات ورب الأرض رب العالمين وله الكبرياء في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم.
Some people seem to have it so hard in this life, and others seem to be living it up. But don't stare too long at the lofty palaces and homes, or the wild parties and seemingly unrestricted self-worship, where people are led by their every desire, or through your phone at the highly filtered happiness of others. Because behind those screens and beneath those layers may be pain and emptiness of a different type. And whatever our states may seem like in this life, our inevitable fate is the same. But things are not always what they seem. Within those graves are gardens of reward or chambers of punishment. And within our hearts is either the pleasure of certainty in knowing that there is something far greater than this world, or the pain of emptiness in not knowing at all. O believer, this world was not meant to be your paradise, but knowing that paradise awaits makes this journey so much more bearable and rewardable, because while every difficulty is temporary, every moment is an opportunity. And you know that if you get this right, that after all your struggles, after all your tests and trials, after all your loves and losses, your eternal sanctuary awaits, built by your deeds and decorated by your du'as. A jewel-encrusted crown, for a verse once recited. Chalets of crystal sparkling on the horizon, for a soul that gave up sin. Tree trunks of green emerald and branches of gold, for a simple word of remembrance. The company of blessed people you chose to accompany, who strove like you, and from past generations you chose to follow, that taught you how to strive. Each of your shuddering breaths, every second of discomfort you faced, and every one of your sacrifices. All have been accounted for, repaid with sights and rewards unimaginable, and the company of the Most High. Build your eternal home. Decorate your eternal home. Long for your eternal home. Welcome to your eternal home.